appreciate you being here with us. We'll stand before we start the meeting and have an invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Now, Father God, we thank you for another day of life. Lord, we thank you for our community and how much it means to all of us. Lord, we ask that you now carry us through this meeting in your will. Help us to do the things that promote Hamilton to the fullest. Be with us in our lives, our daily walk. In Christ's name, amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. This past weekend, as you know, was our Jerry Brown Arts Festival, and I wanted to make a public appeal to the folks who worked so hard to make this possible, that I think it's the best we've ever had, and I'm so thankful for all the workers who did the publicity, drove the shuttles, coordinated the event. I want to thank everyone who worked in this event and worked so hard. I know I enjoyed it, and I appreciate all of you in the community that came out and supported it, as well as those who traveled for a lot of miles to get here and enjoy it. It was very nice. I hope next year it grows even larger. I think we had about 15 more exhibitors this year, and it just seemed like the things growing every year, and this is really good. It's good for our community. The first item of business tonight is a recommendation to approve the minutes of our last city council meeting that was held on February 20th of 2018. Herbert made a motion. We approve those minutes. We need a second.
I'll second.
Tammy made the second. All those in favor? Thank you. The second item on our agenda tonight is the recommendation to approve the accounts payable for the month of February. That would be for the city and water department. Those bills amounting to about $185,000 combined, I believe. Would need a motion to pay those bills.
Mayor, I noticed on here this month, and it hasn't been being on here, the payment to the Jemison Group. And I was under the impression that when the council voted to do that, it was paid all at one time, the $40,000 fee. But apparently it's been being paid monthly. Even though I was against hiring them, I'm not gonna balk on paying them because that's what the council wanted. But today, with this payment, we would have paid them $30,000. Do you have any report as to what's going on with them, any type of activity?
I get a weekly update from the progress on bills in the city of Montgomery, our government down there. Also, we're working closely right now on a grant project for the Buddy Hatchie area. There'd be a river walk involved. We're working toward a grant that's going to be probably about $250,000 involved. And at this date, that's the only thing that I'm working with them on.
But this group is actually in Washington, so for it to be federal money, it's going to have to come from Washington, earmarked for Hamilton. So is that what they're working on, or are they just working to get it to the state level and then we have to compete for it?
They are actually working for us in Montgomery and in Washington. They're connected both places. I think that's always been on monthly billing, is that correct? Yeah, it's always been on monthly billing.
It just hasn't showed up on the Because it was
I just pay
voted,
it.
right, because it was voted on in the beginning and passed, it didn't show up, but this month it showed up. I was under the impression that it had all been paid up front.
We pay it monthly in equal increments.
I make a motion we pay the bills then.
Okay, Tammy made that motion, we need a second.
Second.
Gene second, all in favor of paying our monthly bills? Okay, very good. This was brought to our attention in a workshop, last week. Rodney couldn't be here tonight, he had a church meeting he had to attend, and he would have talked to us about this, but he's kind of explained it to each one of us. When we have to go to a place and cut the water off for non-payment, we have a reconnection fee when the people come in and settle up. Our reconnection fee has been $25. Rodney had checked, most of the departments around us are charging $50. And I told him that I wanted to recommend that we make our reconnect fee for turning on water $50, moving it from 25 to 50. And I'd make that as a recommendation to the council tonight. We need a motion on that in a
I'll
second.
make a motion.
Gene made a motion that we go from 25 to 50 on the reconnect fee for water.
I'll second.
Herbert made a second, all in favor of that.
I have a question about this water. I understand we've got a lot of people that are not paying, and we keep letting them go on for the second month, and probably the third month, and we've got, what, $25,000 on the books, right, or more? And what can we do about it? We gotta do something about it.
Okay.
No use in getting it free for 90 days and then quitting, or 60 days if they don't. I just wonder, I know you know,
In this summer, we didn't do any disconnects. And January was a real cold month. We gave the folks a little break there. But we started locking meters this month, and we're getting a lot of payment now.
that'll get it.
And it's gonna come around. We'll get the bills back in shape, but we've gotten pretty far behind. Some of our bills have gone arrear, two and a few of them up to the third month. But we'll be getting that money in.
Well, I was sort of the same line there, but taking a different angle. I've had several complaints because the billing date would be like 42 days. And if they went over their allotted amount of gallons, they were charged for it, but actually there were more days in the cycle. So it really wasn't their fault. They went over their allotment because we extended the billing period for 12 days. So how, I mean, obviously you and Rodney agreed to do it that way, but I mean, is that something we need to look at as far as a policy? Because I don't think it's fair if your billing period is 30 days and we go over 12 days and you exceed your allotted amount, that we penalize you because we exceeded the time limit.
This past month, I did find out that the completion of the reading of the meters was several days over the normal. I don't think that'll be happening again, but it did last month. It was about, I think we normally have the meters read by the 10th. The 21st, we got the final meters read and got the billing out. And that's, as far as I know, that's the only month that's gone over that much.
Well, I just, people were concerned because one bill was for 42 days and then the next bill was for like 18 days. But their 42 days, they had exceeded their gallons, so they were charged extra. But for the fewer days, they were still charged a flat rate. So,
Yeah, we do have a minimum bill on that. You're exactly right. And I have no argument with that. I don't believe the meters won't be read on time going forward. I didn't know it till about 9 days into the cycle, then it's past when I found out they were not red, it was about 9 days late at that point. And,
So,
Well, why were they not ready?
well, I don't have an answer tonight.
well, the why, I guess we can address later, but is there gonna be any type of an adjustment, or is this just, we're sorry and?
I think the water department operates in a fair manner. I'd do anything that was necessary to make it well with the people that pay the bills.
To me, it looks like maybe the only thing I can say and agree to that would be if the ones want to go back to their last bill, whatever their last bill was, and that bill, we'll give them credit for the difference.
If that's the-
You understand what I'm saying? If they bring both bills in, and that's the only way I know to straighten it out. That most of the time, my bill will run the same, and I guess theirs would too. If you have a problem with it, I think that would straighten it out.
If that's the wishes of the council, I'll make that happen, but I don't know that we've addressed it till tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So
no,
maybe
just wait till you address
talk about it at the next work session and
Well,
come up
I'd
with
like
some
to do
policy
that.
going
Oh, yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I didn't
I was
think,
very disappointed that the meters weren't read on time, but by the time I found out that we were late, it was already late. I began to inquire how quickly they could be read where we could get the billings out. I'm not over that department, but I'm over the operations of the city, and like I say, when I found out about it, they were already late, the bills were.
that's the only way I know to be, if we have to be fair about it, would be if the ones that are, like there's two, it would be, go back to what their last bill, the last month, you know. Most of the time, your bill's not gonna run, it's gonna run about the same all the time. I know mine does, and if one's,
Well, it was a discouraging moment for me when I found out our bills were not out on time. I don't have an exact answer as to why they went over that many days, but I've been assured that they won't go over that many again.
well, you can't help, you can't help it. Your fault.
Okay. We'll work on this in the workshop Wednesday and see what we need to do, if we need to do something. Okay, on item 4, I'm gonna make a recommendation, and we've met some on this, Scott, myself, and the commissioners, and the probate judge. We're gonna be in a renovation during the period of our upcoming elections, June, July, and possibly still into November. And we're going to recommend that we have the upcoming elections at the old City Hall building, where the police department and municipal court are now occupying. We've talked to the chief, and he's not too upset with us for moving those elections there, but on recommendation to the council, I'd like to get y'all to signify by vote that you're okay with us moving from the rec center to the city hall due to these renovations that we'll be undergoing during the election periods.
I'll make a motion.
Shane made a motion, we need a second. Herbert made a second. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Then we will be moving all elections for the voters in Hamilton precincts. You'll be voting at the old City Hall for the June election, the runoff election in July, and then the general election in November. So keep those dates in mind, that you'll be going to a different place to vote this time for all 3 elections.
Need to put that in paper.
Thank you for that coverage.
In big print.
On camera too. Thank you. Item 5 is a recommendation to reimburse 3 people for occupational taxes they continue to pay after leaving employment of our city. One person was overpaid $1,491.26, and the other had overpaid by $1,177.22, and the last one mentioned here had overpaid us by $229.94. So the total of those three would be $2,898.42. And this was brought to our attention by their former employees,
Yes.
employer.
Some of the former employees, I've had one or two that contacted me and I told them that they had to start with their employer. These are from the Department of Corrections, our Hamilton A&I and our work release location. There were 3 total employees that had actually transferred to different facilities. For whatever reason, their payroll, when they went to the new place, some of them were like in, I think, Birmingham work release, one was Limestone. They kept taking the Hamilton occupational tax out. I don't know why. I mean, it specifically said Hamilton. So these folks were actually overpaying. They were still paying the Hamilton occupational tax. And I had Mr. Darren Garris, who is the payroll manager for the State Department of Corrections. He called and talked to me about this, and I mean, he has documented everything perfectly. Their payroll, when they paid, when they were here, when they left, even down to their W-2s. If anybody wants to look at it, you're more than welcome, but they did pay us erroneously. I mean, they kept paying us when they shouldn't have. It wasn't our mistake, but we got the money. And they've just requested a refund, and each check will be made payable to, if y'all decide to do this, will be made payable to each individual for that amount. It'll be paid directly to them, not to the state. I'll mail it back to this Mr. Garris at the state, and he will disperse it.
Any questions about why they're requesting this or anything? I think it's really a true overpayment here, and I don't think anything is being done that we shouldn't hear and listen to.
I did ask him to confirm and make sure there was not going to be more, because I felt like if we could do this time, this wasn't going to be something we were going to continue to do. If it kept being clerical errors on their part, because we're going back all the way to like 2014 on some of these. And then I asked for an audit of the ones that we're paying now, and there were 4 that were not. So we're going to get our money back from that. So.
Okay. If everybody's okay with this, I need a motion to proceed with it.
I'll make the motion.
Gene made a motion that we refund these 3 individuals. Had a second. Herbert made a second. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, this kind of covers the immediate items on our agenda for tonight. Ladies, did y'all bring us a message from the senior center?
Yes, when are we gonna start on that building over there?
Okay. They voted, the people who are bidding asked for some additional time. We won't be opening those bids till the 15th. And we thought we were going to be opening the 6th, but they had some subcontractors that wanted to look at the plan. In order to get the best bids, we gave them a little extra time. There's 3 general contractors bidding, and they had some subs who needed to look at the plans along with them and tell them what they would do their parts for. So I think it's in our best interest to give them this extra time to bid, and we won't be opening those bids until the 15th.
Well, Mr. Williams had asked me today if I'd heard anything, and I had told him no, I hadn't heard anything.
This time, that's all I can tell you.
Okay.
And we hope the contractor will be ready to hit the ground running when they win the bid. I want them to go to work.
How long is it,
Get it
how long is it
done.
gonna give us to get it out? Move our stuff out?
Well, we've obviously got a good bit of manpower, and we may have to call in a few more recruits to help, but we'll try to get that stuff stored so the contractors won't have to work around our things and get them messed up too while we're getting the job done. But we'll try to take good care of all your stuff. We got a lot of tables, chairs, and your department's full of things that we'll have to store.
Yeah, well, mainly we'll have to get our stuff moved to the other place so we can continue business, so.
The seniors are gonna be moving to the Molly's,
Mhm.
for that period of time.
And we'll have freezers to move, we'll have the heating units to move, and all of our supplies to take over there to continue serving the meals and all, so.
We'll try to keep you well informed, Brenda, so you don't get in a tide over this.
Okay.
As the job moves forward. We hope the bids come in where we can afford to do every bit of it. You know, if the bids are too high, we may have to modify the plan a little bit, but we want to do a good job of it while we're working on this. Steve, did you have anything tonight?
He can't hear.
Mike, you got anything for us tonight?
No, not really. Just want to remind the people that we're aware of, we've got a lot of potholes around, and as weather permits, we'll be working on those. Days like today, we were able in the afternoon to put out some plant mix and potholes, but it's going to be a drawn out process. We've got several we've got so many streets and that have potholes in them that we'll be addressing those as weather permits. The political signs is another thing that we'll be working on, see if we can get those all picked up. We've got several down at the shop. If somebody's missing one, put one out. We may have picked it up, and if they need it back, it'll be at the shop.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
Let's work them as quickly as we can.
Sure.
Chief, you got anything tonight for us?
No, sir. Like he's talking about the political signs, or pretty much I'm seeing a movement where they're getting back off the right of way, getting on private land. You know, I'm assuming they've got permission. We hadn't had any calls from any landowners or anything of that nature telling us that I didn't give them permission, so I'm assuming that they do have it.
We want both the street and the police department to help us with this, to make sure that we abide by the rules on signage.
Yes, sir.
Not only candidate signs, but other advertisement signs that are supposed to be on the right of ways. At this time, we're going to need to enter into executive session to discuss some legal issues. We will come back to this room to adjourn the meeting. I don't know exactly how long this is going to take. There's a couple of items that we've got to discuss tonight. I'm going to need a motion to go into executive session at this time.
I'll make a motion.
Gene made a motion, we need a second.
I'll second.
Tammy made a second. All in favor? Thank you. We will come back to adjourn a little bit later. If I could please ask for a motion to end our executive session and return to regular meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Tammy made the motion, second. please.
Second.
Gene made the second, all in favor? Being no further business, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Herbert made the motion, we need a second.
I'll second.
Tammy made a second, all in favor? Thank you. Thank y'all for waiting on us.